Hi guys, Paul here, and we're going to continue on with the video log on the R240 Multirotor. And the first one's already gone up. I think we've had 61 thumbs up and 1 thumbs down at this point in time. So the feedback's been quite positive, that's good. I'm not sure about this format, whether it's a good way to go or not, because at the end of the day, I've already made some changes in terms of how I've gone about assembling this, and I've already restructured this. So it may be just worthwhile noting that with these video blogs, you may want to hold off until it's actually done and then make your final decision in terms of whether the ideas here are good or not. So it's just something to keep in mind. Anyway, I'm going to run you through exactly what it is that I've done, and hopefully that sort of clarifies things a little further. So I have done some design changes. So the first thing I'll touch bases on is, if you look really carefully here, what I've done is actually lifted the flight controller up even higher than before, because originally what I was going to use is the servo connectors to plug in the ESCs directly through the top, and what I'd done was actually lower this a bit lower, and what that allowed me to do was have enough clearance when I plug the servo connectors in from the actual top plate. So I had a look at the way Stunt Double had actually done his multirotor, and what he'd done is soldered all the wires underneath. And that's the method I used with this one. Great thing about that, it gives you a really nice clean build. Downside with that is, if you do a firmware update and you need to re-enable one shot because you're using KISS ESCs, as I am here, you're going to need to desolder the ESCs from the actual flight controller before you enable one shot. Otherwise you'll get into some sort of strife. So just something to keep in mind. I think the multirotor, this basically does some freaky things if you try to enable one shot with the ESCs connected. So something to keep in mind. What I'll do is lift this top plate up and show exactly what's underneath. So as you can see, what we have is the D4R2 telemetry wire underneath. That's soldered in over here. I haven't soldered in the buzzer yet because I haven't received my buzzer, so I'm still waiting for that to arrive. And I'm also waiting on a new PDB board that will allow me to then to run 4S batteries and still provide 12 volts to the LEDs. But as you can see, the flight controller, all the servo connectors, instead of going through the top here, they're actually soldered in underneath, including the ground wires, and that's the way I've gone about doing this. It basically means all these wires tuck underneath here and I end up with a really nice neat build. That is my connector for my video transmitter, which is one of these guys, and I'll put that in shortly and show you what the whole lot looks like. And obviously the D4R2 receiver goes up the front here. So what we have here is our 2 ESCs for the back. These are the KISS 18 amp ESCs, and the same for the front, go towards the front. And what I've done here, and I'm not sure how well you're going to see this, but I've got a voltage regulator in there. And what I ended up doing was basically desoldering the capacitor on that and shortening the actual legs on it, just to bring the size of it down a little bit further so it would tuck in underneath these ESCs here. So that's basically my voltage regulator that supplies the 5 volts to the flight controller, which then in turn powers the little D4R2 receiver, the FrSky telemetry receiver. So that's the way I've gone about doing that. And everything's hooked up to the power distribution board, and everything tucks away nice and neatly. And what we also have here is the LEDs at the back. And these are the Volo LEDs. Really like these things, really bright, fantastic LEDs. And the way I put those on was I just knocked up this little fella, which is just a 3D printed part, and that just slides in like so. And a little bit of hot glue holds it in place. What I've done is exactly the same on the front, and that works absolutely beautifully. So that's why the LEDs are mounted. The other thing you'll notice, last time I think I mentioned in the previous video that I actually drill these holes out because I wanted to fit the motors this way. I'll insert a picture of Stunt Double's multirotor. What he's done is actually rotated his, and he's still managed to get these wires in quite comfortably without them protruding out. So just something to keep in mind. There's a couple of ways in which you can do that. This is just the method that I chose to use. So something to keep in mind. What we'll do is get this guy assembled again, and I'll show you exactly what the rest of him looks like. Okay, so this is the multirotor pretty much assembled. That's where the video transmitter goes. I can't sort of push it forward any further. And with the top plate, what I've done is got one of these guys on there, and that basically screws into the back here. So that's exactly how that works. I won't put that on just yet. D4R2 receivers in place. I still need to tuck this wire in a little bit. Not sure how well you can see that. Now I haven't plugged this guy in because I'm going to power him up in a minute and discuss a little bit further and show you the LEDs, etc. I forgot to show you I've got a 3D printed mount for this flight camera, and it's actually tilted, as you can see. So that's how I've gone about doing that. And all in all, the build is actually really neat. I quite like this. I'm really impressed with this build. So everything's tucked away nicely. I think you can see the, I'm not sure how well you can see that. Maybe this way you'll be able to see it a little bit better. Here we go. You can see the little voltage regulator tucked in there, and obviously the ESCs. And these ESCs actually light up beautifully. So if you actually did have these ESCs out on the actual arms, it's worthwhile using a little bit of clear heat shrink, because that will look really fantastic, I think, with the way the the ESCs actually light up. So what we'll do is get him powered up. So there you go, he's all powered up. Obviously the receiver's got no signal coming in, and that's pretty much what it looks like. It's a really bright LED, that's just insanely bright. And obviously the back of it, you've got those LEDs there at the back, 2 rows of blue. Really quite like these. They probably don't appear as bright on the video, and that's purely because I've got my video lights running. So that's the way the whole lot looks. Pretty much powered up. Obviously I haven't plugged this guy in because I've got no antenna on, so I don't want to blow up my video transmitter, but that's the basic setup. What we'll do is get the top plate on, I'll show you the rest of it. So this is the multi-rotor, pretty much good to go. All I've got to do is mount these antennas up properly, so I'll probably push them forward a little bit more and get them up nice and high. I still need to make up an antenna for the video transmitter. I need to push this guy down further just to angle the HD camera. I'm not sure whether I'm going to use a GoPro or a Mobius. Probably start with a Mobius before I go and break a GoPro. But the build is really neat. Look, this is really quite nice. Everything's accessible. It's nice and clean. There should be no issues at all with this multi-rotor, so quite pleased with that. The KISS ESCs were a little bit of work to actually solder those guys up, but they've come up quite nicely and they seem to be working really well. We did a test hover yesterday and it was quite windy and it was just silky smooth, so I'm interested to see what it's going to be like in fast forward flight, etc. We're going to be running this with 3S at the moment until the new PDB comes in. Once we get the new power distribution board, we will actually pop that in there, and that'll allow us to run 3S and 4S. Now surprisingly, this thing actually pulls up into a hover quite easily with these motors. This is the Volo edition T-motors. They work really quite nicely. Obviously the props too make a big difference too, with these being 5x4.5 props. I'm not sure how well you can see that, you probably can't read that. So with a 3S we're able to get into a hover at well under half throttle, so she'll still have heaps of grunt on 3S, but it should be absolutely insane, especially when we go down a path of 4S. And obviously if we go with the arm extensions, once they're available, and pop on, instead of a 5-inch prop, a 6-inch prop, this thing should be an absolute bullet. So there you go, this is the way we've gone about doing this. Hope this video blog or vlog format works well. Anyway, I'll leave it at that, and I will catch you guys in the next video. The next video will be a proper review of this, showing flight, etc. So hopefully we can get some good footage and I don't dirty it and smash it until then. Anyway, thanks for taking time to watch this video, and I will catch you guys later.